Yes, he's been tried. He snotted a lot on the stand. He was convicted. He was given a chance to throw himself at the mercy of the courts and apologize for all the pain he's caused. He didn't have to say, I did it, I'm sorry I killed him. He could have just said, I'm sorry, I've caused so much pain. What did he do? He lied right in the judge's face again and went, I'm innocent. That's pretty much all I have to say. That said, what's happening in the world of Alex Murdaugh right now? I took a stroll the night of the sentencing. And it was the night of the verdict, and went down to the county jail. It was, I don't know, maybe half a mile as the crow flies at most from the courthouse where we all were. I couldn't wait to get out of that parking lot. There was razor wire curled around all around the top of it, around the top of the inside. There were huge chain link fences, as there should be. But just imagining him in there where he is supposed to be, I wonder where he is now. I have these visions dancing through my head of a Jorn Vandersloot in his Peruvian jail, who has gotten married and gotten a woman, his wife now, pregnant with at least one child. They get drugs, alcohol, whatever they want there. What is his life going to be like? But don't worry, Hart Pootlian, a.k.a. Poot, his defense attorney, and the entire team is working right now to, guess what? Get Murdaugh out from behind bars. With me, a high-profile lawyer, very familiar with the case, practices mostly out of Charleston, South Carolina. Mark Pepper is joining us from the Pepper Law Firm, and you can find him at pepperlawfirm.com. Also on Twitter, at Pepper Law Firm. Mark, thanks for being with us.
Nancy, always a pleasure. Appreciate you having me.
You know what? You said that so easily. It just tripped off your tongue when you know I'm going to disagree with every single thing you say. But that said, I can't claim you're not a good lawyer, because you are. You're just who we prosecutors don't want to see coming up the hallway of the courthouse. I like to see the hacks, that just want to get a cheap plea and run away. No,
right.
That doesn't happen with Mark Pepper. And you know what?
That's what we do. That's what we do. We make each other work hard, and
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Mark, I've been thinking a lot about this case, and before I get into where is Alex Murdaugh at this precise moment and what is happening to him and where is he headed and what's going to happen with his appeal, I'm still amazed. I guess I shouldn't be, because, it's very rare that a leopard changes its spots, but there was a chance for him at sentencing. The judge really, he led the horse to water. He really paved the way for him to say, you know what, it was the drugs, that was the monster, it's not who I really am. And without admitting guilt, he could have apologized for causing so much pain in the lives of so many. But instead, of course, he thought of nobody but himself. And another thing, one reporter said that they observed him turn around and say, I love you to Buster, the Murdaugh's son. But I was watching Murdaugh. I didn't see him turn around and say anything. He stood up and walked out, unless he said it before the sentence came down. But that was his chance.
It was his chance, but you know what? He had a lot of chances to tell the truth, or at least do something different. And despite what was probably some good advice, he refused to address the judge with anything more than proclaiming his innocence. But, Nancy, does that really surprise you? It certainly didn't surprise me, because what's the alternative? If he, was there any chance in your mind that Judge Newman, who had just lost his own son 2 weeks before this trial started, was there any chance, regardless of how many family members he paraded in there, whether he put on the best mitigation package in the history of the world, was there any chance in your mind that you think Judge Newman was going to give him anything but 2 consecutive life sentences?
No, no,
I don't think so either.
no. But
Yeah.
hey, if there was any chance at all, that was his chance to go for it. His opportunity to beg, to plead for mercy, to at least, out of just human decency, forget about the sentence, and say,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for all the pain that I have caused, even this trial. I'm sorry
Mm-hmm.
to my son and my family. I'm sorry to my father and my grandfather. Their memories have now been stained because of me
Mm-hmm.
dragging everybody in here to this trial. He could have said all that without admitting guilt. Hey, tell me about Judge Newman's son.
39 years old, or mid-30s at least. Local lawyer, was serving on city council. I mean, just the most genuine guy you could meet, and just a tragic medical, ended up being a heart attack. I mean, just out of nowhere. Nobody expected it. It wasn't a known condition to many. And just out of the blue, he dies 2 weeks before this case. And having appeared in front of Newman for 20 years, there was a lot of concern that maybe the case would get delayed. But just like he's always done, he had a job to do, and he was going to try this case. Now, I could tell, and I think some other local attorneys could tell, that towards the start of jury selection, the first week, his mind was a little elsewhere, rightfully so. He had literally just buried his own son 2 weeks early, and he's now running the courthouse with a soon-to-be convicted murderer of his own son. So you could tell that there was some, hesitation to and desire to be there. Now, that being said, the consummate professional he always is, as soon as that trial started, he was Judge Newman, and he was simply Judge Newman. And then we got to see kind of a personal side of him during sentencing, where he looked Alec in the eye and almost dared him to address the court, and even called him out, Nancy. Remember when he said, Alec, what was that quote you said on the stand? He made him repeat it, right? I mean, goading him into, give me something here, because I just lost a son. And if you recall, which I thought was a very, very poignant moment during sentencing, he gave him a life sentence with regards to Maggie. And then he turned to him and said, and with regards to your son, almost tongue-in-cheek, who I know you loved very much, I also sentence you to life in prison consecutively. And to me, that was his way of saying, how dare you come in my courtroom and lie to me? How dare you file a notice of alibi with this court, yet take the stand and admit for the first time that you were there? That was his way of saying, how dare you come into my court when I've just gone through the tragedy I've gone through and sit here and lie to me and this jury. He said all that without saying any of it, which is who Judge Newman is. Very, very poignant moment towards the end of that trial.
Mark, guys, with me is Mark Pepper. He's a high-profile lawyer based in Charleston, but practices all over. Everybody has a favorite judge. And I'm not asking you to name yours because you're still practicing in front of courts, but one of my favorites was Luther Alverson. Judge Alverson, I practiced in his courtroom for years, and really all the courtrooms, but his courtroom the most. And he was the oldest judge in the courthouse, in the Fulton County Courthouse, which is inner city Atlanta. And he was 84, I think, before when he finally retired. But he would get up every morning and run 2 miles before he came to court. Now, listen to this. His theory was he wanted to prove.
Like, subscribe, and comment below. See you next time.